morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position on a blanket or a cushion or a block, some place that allows the spine and the back of the neck to be nice and straight and tall, opening up your chest, opening up your diaphragm, and opening up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes now. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is returning to light. Today is the winter solstice. The shortest day of the year is long on traditions, all celebrating the end of darkness and a return to light. Yule, or Yule, is pronounced, was a celebration observing winter solstice and the rebirth of the sun. The sun's gradual return symbolizes renewal, hope, and the triumph of light over darkness. Many of the Yule traditions still exist. For example, in many European countries, a portion of the Yule log is burned each night from Christmas Eve to the 12th night. Other celebrations at this time of year involved fire or candlelight. And some of them are Hanukkah, which is the lighting of 8 candles over 8 days. And that actually begins on December 26th this year. St. Lucia Day is a day that's celebrated in Sweden and other Scandinavian countries, where a young girl wears a crown of 4 to 8 candles, and that's always on December 13th. Kwanzaa is the lighting of 7 candles over 7 days, and that's always December 26th to January 1st. And Advent is the lighting of 4 candles over 4 weeks to celebrate hope, peace, love, and joy. And that 4th candle of the Advent wreath will be lit tomorrow. So for our meditation, this is called a light meditation of light, or light meditation. If you would kindly just find that nice, comfortable seated position and place your hands in Anjali Mudra, the prayer pose. And then bring Your sense of awareness to an energy rising from the base of your spine, all the way up through your spine, the back of your neck, and out through the top of your head. Just feel that sense of energy going long from the base of your spine up through the top of your head. And then imagine this energy like a warm white light beaming out to the sky. And then gently inhale, raising your palms up past your face, and then slowly bring them up over your head and through that beam of light. Ground yourself by connecting that seat to the ground and then stretching your arms as high as they will go, creating space all through your body, creating a lightness all through your body. And then as you exhale, slowly take your fingers and bring them apart and alongside, creating a nice big round circle around you, bringing them down alongside of you, big circle, and sense a drawing of that light out and around you as you bring your hands down to rest alongside you. Feel a sense of being warmly enveloped as though you are in a cocoon of nourishing light. Then bring your hands back together in Anjali Mudra, prayer pose. And just stay in the light of this awareness, breathing gently, creating a deep sense of lightness within you and around you. All right, and I will meet you on the mat and we'll begin our asana practice. Hey, we're going to start with a few shoulder shrugs. So gently just kind of bringing your shoulders up toward your ears on an inhale and then moving them toward your back and then down toward the mat on the exhale. And just gently inhale and exhale. We're just trying to loosen things up. Continue those circles, inhaling and exhaling. And then reverse the direction, inhaling and exhaling. And then we'll put our fingertips alongside of us and do some sun breath and chest openers. So inhaling, sweeping our hands up overhead. Maybe envision that light coming up and around us. And then bringing our hands to our heart center, warmth of our heart. And then opening up our hands, letting that warmth help with the light that we have just created in our circle. And then bringing our hands back together again. Lifting our hands up overhead. Really stretching, becoming light in body. And then bringing our hands back down. We'll do that a few times. So inhale, lifting our hands up. So the palms come together, and then palms come to heart center on the exhale. Inhaling, opening our hands. And exhaling, bringing the hands back together again. Inhale up. Really stretching as high up as we can go. And then exhale, gently floating our hands down. One last time, inhale up. Exhale, palms come together and come down to heart center. Inhale, open. And then exhale, close. Inhale up. Really stretching as high up as you can go. And then exhale, coming down. That warm white light all around us. And then we'll do a few seated forward folds. So I like to have my legs side by side so that you get a little bit more. And you can bring your fingertips out in front of you and then just bend your elbows toward the mat and stay here, or you can stretch them out a little further, whichever is more comfortable for you. Just trying to create a stretch with a seated forward fold. And then walk your hands back, come back up, kind of going from the darkness of being close to the ground to the light, being upright. We'll do that again, but just switch your feet around so that the other foot's in front or crossed. And then again, you can walk your hands forward and then bend your elbows. And this might be fine, maybe bring your head down or stretch your hands out as far as comfortable. And we'll walk our hands, come back up, back to light. Then we'll come up onto our hands and knees. Wrists right below the shoulders, knees right below hips, tabletop, fingers are spread apart. Weight is evenly distributed in your hands, gently pushing down creates space between your shoulders and your ears. Then we'll just gently do a few head turns. We're going to turn our head as if we're saying no, just turning it over to the right, sending our gaze to the right. And then slowly coming back down, gaze is to the center of our mat down below, and then turning our gaze over to the left, and then back down, and then keep that flow going over to the right. And then a nice gentle flow back down and over to the left. And back down again, slowly over to the right. And back down again, and slowly over to the left. And back down. And we'll come into a few cat-cows. So we're going to round our back on the exhale, sending our head and our tailbone down, really stretching out the back of our spine. And then coming into cow pose, lifting our head and tailbone up, sending our gaze straight ahead. And then rounding our back again, exhale, coming into cat pose. Then inhaling, lifting our head and tailbone up, sending our gaze straight ahead for cow. And then continue on a few moments, inhaling and exhaling to each movement. Synchronizing your breath. And you can do this as slowly or as fast as is comfortable. I like the slow method because it really kicks in just trying to control that breath and control the movement. And then come back to tabletop. We're going to send our right leg down, or actually first we'll kickstand our left foot out so it's on the outside of our mat, and then we'll send the right foot down to the bottom of the mat. The left shoulder is right above the left wrist. Then we're going to take our right hand and then sweep it up to the sky, following our hand with our eyes. And once we get our hand up into the sky, we're going to lift our right leg up. And then bring both back down. We'll do that again. So you can choose to either lift your hand up first, then your leg, or if you like, you can lift up both hand and leg at the same time. Keeping your gaze on your hand. And then bring both back down. And one last time, sweeping your hand up. And then lifting your leg up, or at the same time. And then we'll bring both back down. And we'll do that on the other side. So back to tabletop. We'll kickstand the right foot out, outside of the mat, sending the left foot down to the end of the mat. Right wrist is right below the right shoulder. And then we'll sweep our right hand all the way up to the sky, sending our gaze up to our right hand, our left hand, and then lifting up our left leg. And then bringing both back down. And we'll do two more, sweeping our hand and leg up, either together or one at a time. And then bringing it back down. The hand comes back to the mat. And then one last time, sweeping our left hand up, lifting the left leg up, opening up our chest, keeping our gaze on our hand. And then bringing them both back down to the mat. Come back to tabletop. We'll send our hips down to our ankles and extending our hands out for child's pose. Just kind of come into a little cocoon, child's pose. And then we'll come back up to tabletop. Tuck our toes under. Walk our hands back so we come up onto the balls of our feet into a squat. Then pushing down and lifting up. Come into mountain pose. We're going to lift our toes up off the mat, spreading them apart as far as you can. And then bringing the toes back down to the mat, lifting the heels off the mat, and then bringing them back down, really feeling connected to the earth, that grounding that we need this time of year, that strength, that stability, and the stillness that mountain pose provides. And then the elements of mountain pose, also the elements of good posture. So legs are straight and strong, gentle bend in the knees, navel's tucked in to create a nice long spine. Back of your neck is nice and long too. Shoulders are relaxed and rolled back. Chin is ever so slightly tucked in, creating that nice long spine again. The crown of our head is reaching up to the sky. Then we'll sweep our hands all the way up with a big inhale. And then exhale, bring our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go, support our lower back. Resting our hands on the mat. Just take a moment to check in. See how you're doing today. How is your mind? How is your body? And how is your spirit? And then we'll just bring our hands to our shins, flattening out our back for half forward fold. And then sending the crown of our head down toward the mat, letting our arms just relax. Let gravity take over for a few moments. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Big inhale. And as we lift them up overhead, we come up onto our tippy toes. And then exhale, lowering our hands and lowering our heels back down to the mat. And we'll do that 2 more times. So sweeping our hands slowly up and lifting up onto our tippy toes. And then slowly lowering our hands down, slowly lowering our heels back down with control. My feet are having a mind of their own today. Alrighty, one last time, sweeping our hands up, coming up onto our tippy toes, and then back down. And then bringing our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Big exhale. Inhale, bring our hands to our shins, flatten out the back, send our gaze straight down. Then dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. Sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. And then for supported side stretch, we'll bring our right hand down, slide it down toward our right knee, sending our left fingertips over to the right, and then back up. And then bringing the left hand down, sliding that down toward our left knee, sending the right fingertips over to the left. And then back up again. And we'll do that one time on each side again. Right hand comes down, sliding it down toward the knee. Then bringing that hand back up. And then the left hand comes down again, sliding it down toward the knee. And then back up again. Arms overhead, and then we'll bring them back both down to the floor, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, bringing the hands to our shins, elbows tucked in, flat back, nice long spine, long back of the neck, sending the gaze straight down. And then we'll bring both hands back down to the mat. And actually, we're going to take the left hand, connect it to the mat, bending the left knee toward the left arm, keeping the right leg straight-ish with a soft bend in the knee. And we're going to sweep the right hand all the way up overhead, following it with our gaze, forward fold with a twist. And then bringing that right hand back down again. And we'll switch places. So the right hand goes on to the mat. Right knee bends toward the right arm. Left leg comes somewhat straight with a gentle bend in the knee. And then we'll sweep the left hand all the way up overhead. And then bringing that left hand back down. We'll sweep our hands, both hands up on a big inhale, bringing them over our head. Palms come together. And palms come to heart center. And palms come to the back of our hips. Our feet are hip width apart. Fingertips are pointing down toward the floor. Palms are on our hips. Shoulders are really relaxed. Chin's tucked in. Then we'll just drop our shoulders back for supported back bend, keeping our chin toward our chest, not dropping our head back, until the point where you can feel your breath maybe not flowing as much, and then you want to adjust, bringing yourself back up a little bit so that it is nice and flowing. And then bringing our torso back up, back to mountain pose. So one of the things I was reading about for winter solstice is the need to get outside, with the limited sunshine there is, making sure you take advantage of that. But also to go out and look at night at the stars and the moon. Just, I mean, this time of year it's so clear, there's not a humidity, at least in Vermont. And so you can really see the stars and really see the moon crystal clear. So this next segment, we'll do sun salutations, some stars, and half moon to celebrate the beautiful outdoors in wintertime. So inhale, sweeping our hands up overhead. Big inhale, and then exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat. Forward fold, bending our knees as we go, and then half forward fold, bringing them back to our shins, creating a nice flat back. Like gaze straight down so that spine and the back of the neck's nice and straight and long. And then we'll bring our hands back down to the mat for forward fold. Connecting with the mat, we're going to bring our feet to the back of the mat, coming into plank pose. Plank pose is our shoulders right above our wrists. Heels are being pushed back, nails tucked to the spine, elevating the hips slightly so there's no saggy tummies. And then keeping your elbows tucked to your side, you can lower to the mat either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, and slow with control. Coming down, and then keeping our hands underneath our shoulders, elbows tucked in. We're gonna lift our chin, and then our chest, and coming up into cobra. And then we'll tuck our toes under and lift our hips up to downward dog. We'll pedal out our dog here for a moment. Arms are nice and straight. Chest is reaching toward our thighs to elevate our hips. And then we'll bring our feet to our hands. So we can either walk slowly to our hands, coming into forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together, and palms come to heart center. And then we're going to turn and face the long side of the mat, sending our big toes to point at the corners, tucking in our heels at 45-degree angles. And we'll sweep our hands up on a diagonal as if to make a star. We'll do two versions of a star. So we're going to take this pose, and then we'll bend our knees, bringing our hips down toward the mat very slowly. And we'll pause for a moment. And then straightening our knees up, keeping our arms where they are. And then we're going to lower our arms to the side. So this is another version of a star. And we'll, again, bend our knees, lowering our hips, keeping our arms where they are. And then back up again. And then we'll bring our arms back up to the yoga star. And bend our knees back down, very slowly with control. Pause for a moment, and then back up. And then again, lowering our arms so they're straight out at shoulder height. And bending our knees, coming down. Then coming back up again. And one last time with our arms up into the yoga star. And bending our knees, slowly coming down. And then coming back up again. And then arms at shoulder height for our last star here. Bending our knees, lowering our hips. And then coming back up again. And then we're going to pivot our feet to the left, come into warrior two. So our left knee is going to be above the left ankle. Right foot is nice and snug in the mat. We'll gently turn our head to look at our fingertips, left fingertips. And then we'll straighten out our front leg. And then we're going to reach forward and drop our hand coming into triangle pose. Triangle. If you take two triangles, put them together, create a star. And then coming back up to warrior two. Bending that front knee again, gently looking at our left fingertips. We'll bring our left arm down to the left thigh, sending the right arm up to the sky, sending our gaze up to the sky, looking at the stars and the moon. And then bringing the right hand down to the mat, we're going to come into runner's lunge. And we're going to go into half moon. So you can, again, any part of the pose is doing the pose. So you decide when it's good for you. This is a pose I continue to work at. So I'm going to walk my hands forward, dragging my back foot, lifting it up off the mat. Then I'm going to send my right leg up as high as it will go. Send my right arm up as high as it will go. And then gently turning my chest open to the side of the mat. And then back down. And then we're going to go to forward fold from there. And then back up to mountain pose. And there you have it. We'll do that on the other side too. Little sun, stars, and half moon. So take a nice deep breath. And then we'll sweep our hands up overhead. And then bring them back down to the mat. Forward fold, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, hands to the shins, half forward fold. And then bringing our hands, both hands down to the mat, planting them on the mat, sending our feet to the back, coming into plank pose. And then lowering down, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Keeping our hands tucked under our shoulders, elbows tucked toward our ribs. We'll lift our chin and then our chest, and then pushing down, coming into cobra. And then tucking our toes under, lift your hips up to the sky for downward dog. And walk the dog out for a little bit. And you can either walk or hop or bring one foot giant step up to your hands, coming into forward fold. And then sweeping your hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then we'll open up again to the long side of the mat. Do a few stars. Our big toes are pointing to the corners of the mat. Heels are tucked in, 45-degree angle. We'll send the arms up to the sky. And then bending our knees, lowering our hips to the mat. And then come back up again. And then lowering our arms to shoulder height. We'll bend our knees again, slowly with control. And then back up again. And lifting our arms up to a yoga star, bending our knees down. And then back up again. Arms to shoulder height. Bending our knees. Come down. And then back up again. And one last time, arms up. Bend our knees, slowly coming down. Maybe we'll pause here for a moment. And then coming back up. Arms to shoulder height. Bend down. And then back up again. And then we're going to pivot our feet to the left, or the opposite of what you did last time. Come again into warrior two. I have my right knee over my right ankle. Chest is open to the long side of the mat. Turning my gaze gently to look at my right fingertips. And then straightening out the right leg, sending the right hand forward and then down into triangle pose. Lifting my gaze up to my left hand. And then back up to warrior two. And then the right arm comes and rests on the right thigh, sending the extended side angle, sending your left hand up to the sky. And then sending that left hand down to the mat, pivoting into runner's lunge. And back up just a skosh here. And then walking our hands forward, lifting the back leg up. You can stay here, or you can lift your left arm up to the sky and turning your chest. Oh, whoop. Like I said, I'm still working on this one. Sending your chest open to the long side of the mat. And then down for half moon. And then we'll come to forward fold. And then back up to mountain. Our arms overhead. Arms come down to heart center. Well done, everyone. We'll take our pinky toes, bringing them to the edge of the mat, tucking our heels in. We'll come with our hands at Anjali Mudra at our heart center, bending our knees yet again, bringing our hips down yet again, And then bringing our torso between our legs, elbows resting on the inside of the knees, wide-legged squat. And then we'll bring our sit bones down to the mat and we'll roll down either knees bent, knees straight, or tucking your hands under for express. I'm gonna have my knees bent today. You do you. And then once you've landed, bring your knees to your chest and give them a nice hug and rock your knees back and forth so you can massage your lower back. Maybe make some nice big circles. One way and then the other way. And we'll bring our both feet to the mat and plant them about a little wider than hip distance apart. We'll do some windshield wipers. So with our hands, palms down to the mat, and those are out at an angle too, just to support you when you're doing your windshield wipering. We'll lower the knees to the right and then lifting them up slowly and gently back to center, then over to the left, and then back up to center again, over to the right, and just kind of support your upper body with your hands alongside of you. And we keep both shoulder blades on the mat. And just continue with this nice gentle flow back and forth with your knees landing to the right and then back to center and then over to the left. We'll do a few more times. And then bringing your knees so they're upright. We're going to bring our knees so that now they're hip width apart and bringing the heels toward our hips. We're going to do a few bridge poses. So with our palms now alongside of us, not out at diagonals, again to support us. We're going to slowly tuck our tummy in, pushing down in the feet and lifting our hips up to the sky. We'll do this 3 times so you can kind of ease into your height. And then once you're up here, then slowly lower down 1 vertebra at a time to really feel that connection and grounding with the mat. And once you've landed, you can, again, tuck your tummy, your navel toward your spine, creating that bowl in your tummy. And then pushing down into your feet, lifting your hips up to the sky. And maybe just kind of bringing your shoulders a little bit underneath, creating a little bit more height in your bridge. And then slowly, again, coming down, feeling that connection of your spine, slowly with the mat. And then one last time, keeping your knees, your legs parallel, tucking your tummy in, lifting up to the sky, and tucking your shoulders under if you'd like, maybe interlacing your fingers underneath your hips if you like. Just imagining the bridging of one season to the next. Now we're in winter and it's snowing out. That's perfect. And then again, slowly coming down, connecting your spine with the ground. And then sending your feet down to the corners of the mat, letting your feet just relax, letting your legs relax, letting your torso just melt into the mat, shoulder blades snug in the mat, tops of your shoulders just relaxed, arms out to the side with palms up, taking a few deep breaths, exhaling through your mouth if you'd like. That helps you to just kind of melt and relax into, just think of falling into the snow and just letting that snow cushion you. Sending a smile to your lips. So for today's poem, it's actually a blessing, and the author is unknown. It's called the Winter Solstice Blessing. May you find peace in the promise of the solstice night, that each day forward is blessed with more light, that the cycle of nature, unbroken and true, brings faith to your soul and well-being to you. Rejoice in the darkness, in the silence find rest, and may the days that follow be abundantly blessed. Be abundantly blessed. And